So here are the two boxes mounted to the wall, and we can see the Ethernet connectivity back to the router, which is over the mains, that talks down to the micro via Ethernet, and Triac box is mounted there. So let's go outside and see the effects. So here you see the pulsing nature of the air pump that I discussed. So here you can see it being driven at the interval set on the pots that are on the intermediate board. So here we go, it's pretty dark out here. We can see some of the solar lights are on in the garden. Let's see what happens when I start livening some things up. So you can see now that the Triac box is switching on all the things that I want switched on. Right, just a couple of quick explanations regarding the layout of the PIC Olimex web server, just to give you some idea. So from the folder that I've got here as part of the demo, there is a folder that's been made that you can make up, and I've called it Web Pages 2, and I've put everything in it associated with compiling the web page that goes down to the Olimex server. So if I open index.html here, you will see that the HTML is in there that I've created. But if we look at it in Dreamweaver or any other HTML type sniffer, you can have a look at the info that's in there. Now it's split up with a header and footer as well in separate files, but this is the main body of the actual HTML, and you'll see it consists mainly of a Java Ajax based script. The reason for that is that it serves this when you first load the server, downloads the information to the client. It downloads this script at the bottom here, and you can see that it's got the script type in there, text/JavaScript, which is standard, and obviously a dim libs at the bottom with the scripts in it as well as standard sort of Ajax stuff or Java type script. So if you look down here, you'll see there's a function in here called set timeout, which gets copied down, and the parameters for it are an actual status.xml file, which is also compiled as part of this block, an update status, which is a function that's passed in, which is effectively a pointer to the update status function. True, I can't remember what the true's for now, but you can look up that in the JavaScript. And then there's a timer in here of 500. Now this is in milliseconds, so every half a second this script will run on your browser. And what it means is it won't actually repopulate the whole web page, it will actually just transfer the status information from the XML file. So it actually asks the server for an update every 500 milliseconds. It means that if any other client's connected to the Olimex web server, then of course you'll get a mimic of that, of whatever they've commands they've sent to the web server. So here is typical. You see in this function, update status function, you can see what it does, and actually what it does is it passes the page that I've got here, which is the get document, or get XML values, and then the document get element, and the elements are the individual buttons that are on this web page, and it will repopulate those or change their parameters based on what comes back in the XML file. So if it comes back that it's on, then of course it's going to be changed to green, and if it's not, then of course it changes to red. And you can see here for these hash markers here, we've got standard RGB 090, which is green, and then the other one, which is RGBD, which is the red. So you can see there are different intensities there depending on what the status is, and you can see that's in a little for loop which just cycles around all the individual IDs from 1 to 8, which is less than 9 there, and just keeps it updated, and it does that every 500 milliseconds. In the meantime, the main page itself we've got here, which is obviously downloaded into the browser and populates all the buttons, etc. At the outset, has got the details of these in here, with span classes in here for the CSS file, which it makes reference to at the top there, of course, as mchp.css. That's just an import statement, and the CSS file is a separate file that has all the information on the layout of the page, etc., etc., and obviously different classes for buttons, etc. And notice that the ID for these is leb 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And the CGI command, which is set when you click the buttons, and you'll see that we've got an on-click statement here. In actual fact, it will send that command as a command as part of the a get. So in actual fact, it just sends these to toggle the individual LEDs. When the server receives that, what it will do is, whatever state it was in before, it will actually change its state, update the XML file to the new state, and the web page will then update itself effectively through the use of this calling this function. I won't get into the details of the code that's on the server, but as you can imagine, it's just basically looking for changes on as part of a get, and then outputs the details accordingly. So there is delimiters in the server file as well for insertion of the various states, but you can read up on that as part of the PIC Olimex type documentation. So obviously in here I can change various bits and pieces here, but the beauty of this also is the fact that in this file, if I go up a notch here, in here the utilities, I've got an MPFS jar file, which is a JavaScript file. Now what you can do with this is it can actually update the server web page effectively live, so that if you wanted to change any parameters of it, you could do remotely and completely independently. So obviously I can't change the main code on the processor. I'll have to use the debugger and effectively programmer locally on a USB to actually program it, which is through the PIC start, which I talked about earlier. But I'm not going to change the code to it. I'm just going to change what the web page holds. So I can run this utility. If I run it up in, if I open it with Java, you will see this currently set up for the web page, which it's going to compile. Just the directories in there as well as, and the image is going to be uploaded to, in this case, 192.168.0.70, which is the IP address that's been set originally in the code for the Olimex web server, and I can just generate an upload. So what I can do with this now is, if we look at this page, you will see that there are certain names associated with it that I've put in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change channel 8, and I'm going to change it using Dreamweaver. I'm going to change it effectively to air pump. So I've changed it to air pump. If I save this now in Dreamweaver, let's just save that, and then go back to my utility, which is the PIC utility that comes with the Olimex web service. You can download this all off the PIC website, so that it really is lots and lots of information on there. And if you can't find enough there's plenty more out on the web. So I'm ready to go. I've modified my web pages, and all I need to do now is to hit the generate and upload. As soon as I've done that, it'll obviously go back and go over and try and find 192.168, and it will also 70, and also log into the actual server itself and start uploading the page itself. So this obviously will take a little bit of time, not too much but a little bit. So if we go back to our web page, which is refreshed, you will see that of course the air pump that we've added at the bottom there is it's been updated. So I'd say you do it, download the compiled file, compiled web page onto the chip, and it will serve up the pages as you've changed them. That's it, it's a wrap. Thanks for that.